I've been holding for so long, scared I might slip away. Sometimes I just feel so lost, but I know that I'll find my way. Oh, I cannot lie, it's hard, sometimes I lose my mind. Constant whispers in my head, temptations I defy. But I know that if I lose your guidance, I'll go blind. That is why I need you. Oh, show me the way. Oh, don't let me stray. Oh, I need you. I beg you. Take me out of darkness into your light. I know I gotta stay strong, trying hard every day. 'Cause 100 times I've been so wrong, but I know I can make that change. Oh, I cannot lie, it's hard, sometimes I lose my mind. Constant whispers in my head, temptations I defy. But I know that if I lose your guidance, I'll go blind. Protect me, my Lord. Oh, show me the way. Oh, don't let me stray. Oh, I need you. I beg you. Take me out of darkness into your light. My Lord, I'm grateful for your mercy. Whenever I fall down, you pick me up. 'Cause you're the one who's always there for me. Oh, show me the way. Oh, don't let me stray. Oh, I need you. I beg you. Take me out of darkness into your light. I've been holding for so long, scared I might slip away. Sometimes I just feel so lost, but I know that I'll find my way. Oh, I cannot lie, it's hard, sometimes I lose my mind. Constant whispers in my head, temptations I defy. But I know that if I lose your guidance, I'll go blind. That is why I need you. Oh, show me the way. Oh, don't let me stray. Oh, I need you. I beg you. Take me out of darkness into your light.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, draga braćo i cijenjene sestre, nadam se da se čujemo, nadam se da se vidimo, da sve funkcionira tako kako treba, samo mi znači javite da vidimo, da nema nekih problema. Odakle nas inače gledate ako nije tajna? Mašala, ima već nekoliko ljudi, mašala. Imrane, selam alaikum, kako si, šta ima? Sve je ok, mašala. Selam alaikum Vedade, kako si, šta ima? Adnane, selam alaikum, kako ste? Kako ste, narode? Imate li malo treme? Imamo li malo treme za ovo večeras? Pošto je malo je ozbiljna tema i pokušat ćemo biti što korektniji, tako? Inače, možda sam vam već rekao, mašala, ima ljudi iz Nove Gorice i gledaju, Allahu ekber, moji Slovenci, ima iz Pazara obavezno, iz Pazara obavezno, mašala, iz Sarajeva. Allah vas nagradio. Kao što vidite, malo mi je isto glas jači, tako da ćemo večeras moći bez problema razgovarati. Mašala. Uglavnom, ono što sam planirao je, kao što znate, ovaj format kada imamo ovako jednog gosta, jeste da napravimo na neki način tako da najprije ja razgovaram sa gostom, recimo pola sata ili 40 minuta, nešto tako, znači nećemo ga previše zamaravati, a nakon toga mogu isto vama dati šansu da postavite neko pitanje, ili ako imate neko pitanje koje je baš vezano konkretno za temu ili diskusiju ili nešto tako, možete odmah upitati, pa ćemo sa Allahom te barek ve taala dozvolom ubaciti vaše pitanje, pa da vidimo šta i kako. Šta je bilo? Čekaj, kako se zove ova ilahija? Ma ne znam, brate, Allah help me, nešto tako. Mašala, ima ljudi iz Sanskog mosta. Uglavnom, bez toga da gubimo više vrijeme, Allah te nagradio, brate, Allah te nagradio, molim Allah da ti povećaj metak, hvala ti puno. Ili znači ima neki delay ili nešto tako, samo da još to provjerim, pošto sa gostom smo baš nekako zadnje sekunde nekako smo tražili da se dobijemo i da testiramo sve. Evo, odlično, mašallah, imamo već pitanja. Znači, čekaj sam da ja to zabilježim, da neću zaboraviti. Ok. Uglavnom, pa ćemo vidjeti kako bude to. Znači, ovo danas, s kim imamo danas razgovor, da vam samo ukratko prezentiram našeg gosta. Znači, naš gost se zove Subboor Ahmad, on je jedan od, da kažemo tome, jedan od glavnih, ja bih lično rekao, eksperata ili ljudi koji doista dobro poznaju ovu temu kao što isto druge teme. I na internetu možete naći mnoštvo njegovih debata sa ateistima, sa pripadnicima drugih religija, u kojima on govori ili o ovoj temi o kojoj ćemo danas pričati ili o nekoj drugoj temi. I doista se radi o čovjeku koji poznaje ovu stvar i mislim da je dobro da imamo nekoga ovdje ko nam može bar određene aspekte teorije evolucije pokazati i objasniti kako ih treba shvatiti, šta mi trebamo točno učiti djecu i slično tome. Inače, brat trenutno živi u Engleskoj po nacionalnosti ili po, kako bi rekao, rodom ili jeste iz Pakistana, tako da without further ado, kao što bi se reklo, počet ćemo sa razgovorom. So, bro, could you please unmute yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. I have no idea how to use Discord. I'm trying to work out, how do I see what you're seeing?
I don't understand. I don't understand the question. I mean, what I see is just my layout. That's all. I mean, it's basically what you see in addition with my layout that I have on YouTube. That's all.
Okay.
So don't worry. There's no trickery. You know. Okay. So as I've already introduced you, I mean, you've been studying this. Let's just get right into it, okay? Without, all the small talk is gone. So now we are just, focused and sharp. I mean, so you've studied this topic like in depth, right? Like a lot.
Yeah.
And how long have you been involved in this concrete topic? I mean, the theory of evolution, Islam, and so on. Or let me say it like this. Let me ask it like this. So how long, you know, what started, you know, what motivated you to delve in this realm of the theory of evolution and other stuff?
So I've been giving dawah to and focusing on atheism for about 10 years. Yeah. So within these years, on and off, I used to look at the topic of evolution, but around 5 years ago, I just made it like a focus, just to focus on it. And the reason why, it's a good question, Alim. The reason why is because I realized that, you know, when it comes to Islam, right? So if someone says to you, what is the core of Islam? We would say Tawheed, right? You won't say the core of Islam is Ramadan. You won't say it's Salah. You'll say the core is Tawheed. That is the core. Everything else fits around it. So what I realized about atheists, right, is the core thing that they use to justify their atheism is basically Darwinian evolution. Because what's the main argument that we use for Allah in terms of logical arguments, right? Fitra, and then after that we'd use the design argument, right, which speaks to nature. So their foundation seems to be Darwinian evolution. And when I looked at it, I was like, well, if that's their foundation, let's go into their Aqidah and let's try and find a bit of ikhtilaf, try and find a bit of and find some controversies, try and find, you know, it's kind of like Sheikh Ahmad Didat, rahimullah. He, when he started studying the Christian Bible, and then he learned the stuff, then he came out against the missionaries. They were like, they didn't know what hit them. So my aim, inshallah, was to go into evolutionary biology, go into Darwinian evolution, come out and just cause them trouble.
So it was just that simple.
Yeah, that's it.
That's simple.
I like causing trouble.
Oh, okay. So, you know, I asked my chat, I mean, is there any problems, you know, technical problems and so on? And they said, no, everything is okay, just the hair. You know, they tease me, you know, regarding myself. They tease me because I have, you know, perfect eyebrows, you know. You know, this is like Balkan style, you know. It's like, and they think that I trimmed them, you know. So I had to explain to the people that it's just good genetics, you know. The theory of evolution works, man. Yeah. So I mean, let me just show you one picture, and you can tell me. You know, it's like a psychological test. So I show you images, and you just tell me, you know, what you think. So this is the picture. Right.
That picture explains why you have such beautiful eyebrows.
Oh, really?
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, whose picture is that? What is that?
What?
What is that?
You don't know.
I'm just messing around.
Yeah, no.
I was making you unnerved.
Oh, no. I mean, we're all it's just a friendly atmosphere, you know, every single night. So, I mean, we're used to this kind of vibes. So, I mean, what can you tell us about this picture? I mean, on a serious note. You know.
So this picture is the standard way that people, when they think of evolution, they think of progress. They think of things getting bigger, smarter, more intelligent, more complicated, more civilized, more moral, more ethical. When in fact, that is not the way Darwinian evolution works. And why I use this picture usually at the beginning of my talks is to show them that something that you believe so vividly in your mind and is the number one image that comes to your mind that evolution is this progressive force, this is not the way Darwinian evolution works. And why I do that is to show people, if you can be wrong about that picture, then you're probably missing a lot of information, right? So that picture is telling us evolution is a process of improvement. Things are getting bigger and better and smarter. And advertisement uses this, right? So this car evolves into that, this mobile phone evolves into that, and all this type of stuff, right? Everything. But in fact, what it is that there is no difference between a human being and, you know, a grasshopper and an elephant and a cow, yeah, or a blade of grass. All of us from an evolutionary perspective are just part of the tree of life. Things aren't getting better or smarter. Your intelligence doesn't matter. What matters is your survival and reproduction. So, you know, there's this idea that with evolution, society is progressing. And today, as you know, Alim, we live in a post-enlightenment world. We live in a world in which the Western civilization, with its enlightenment, which led to an increase in intellectual activities in regards to philosophy, physics, mathematics, biology, chemistry, the industrialization and the scientific revolution, everything is centered around the Enlightenment, right? And the main idea of the Enlightenment was progress, right? Progress through reason. And evolution was used as a way of pushing progress. But Darwinian evolution has nothing to do with progress. And that's why I use this example to show people that, you know, a lot of the things that you probably hold about Darwinian evolution, which you hold to be true, they're simply not true.
Okay. There seems to me that there's your picture was a little bit lagging, but I mean, it's okay. Your audio wasn't. I mean, this Discord, you know, this software, it cannot handle the beauty, you know.
I
So, okay, I do understand, but I mean, so what? Just give me like a short background of the theory of evolution. So how did this? Let me put it this way: how did this theory became mainstream to such a degree that we have it in our textbooks as presented to us as a fact? You know, so yeah. I mean, when did humankind, when did it make this you know shift? You know.
So look, evolution is a basic idea that there's biological change over time. That's been known for thousands of years, right? The ancient Indians, the ancient Greeks, I mean, biological change in the biosphere is well known. That's nothing special. What was special in 1859 is Darwin proposed a mechanism of how this thing took place and how life is connected by a tree. And his idea, which he actually got from an economist / philosopher, Thomas Malthus, was essentially a capitalistic idea of survival of the fittest, of natural selection being the driving force. And natural selection dovetailed with colonialism, with capitalism, with this Western imperialistic worldview. And in fact, Darwin, to a large extent, justified the white man's burden, right? And he speaks about in The Descent of Man how European civilization is far more better than the black civilizations and the the Asians and you know, all the Aborigines and all the rest. And, you know, he considered even, I mean, Darwin, if you imagine, he was like a social commentator as well. So at the time of Darwin, we had the Ottomans, and they were fighting the British. And there was a war that took place sometime in the middle of the 19th century, right? Around that time. And this battle took place between the British and the Ottomans, and the Ottomans lost that particular battle. And Darwin used his theory to justify why that had happened. And he said, you know, the civilized races have beaten the savage Turks hollow, right? So the fact is that it's not just a biological theory. It has political reasons behind it as well. And additionally, this is very important as well, is that Darwin is the first person to attempt to try and come up with a mechanistic story, which the way that people after him interpreted it, which he didn't interpret it that way, by the way, is that it's an atheistic theory. That was the perception that was spread by people after him.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he didn't agree with that, and we can go into that later. But the fact that there's a naturalistic explanation which does away with God and the design argument, this was a big factor in this theory being used by atheists and people in the Western civilization. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here, but overall, I think it's very important to understand it's not just a scientific theory. There's a lot more to it than that.
But when did we as a human race make this shift in our this paradigm shift in our heads that this is a fact?
Well, firstly, I would say from the time of Darwin, the theory became very politicized. And in the Western world, at least, it was pretty much, within a few decades, it was pretty much accepted as the paradigm within the scientific community. The rest of the world, you could say until pretty much, even now you could say, it hasn't really caught up. So where this theory is really seen as true, literally, is Western Europe, America, Australia, China, Japan, but in other parts of the world, I would say the scientific community maybe has a bit more, resistance to it. Resistance, no pun intended. But yeah, I mean, at least look, because it's kind of like this. What's the home of basketball? It's America, right? So what's the home of science at the moment? It's the Western civilization. So because in the Western civilization, it's pretty much accepted, at least at a popular level, that this theory is undeniable. It's true. It's something we simply have to accept. That idea has been around for at least over 100 years.
What I found amazing regarding the theory of evolution is that it didn't just affect the biology. It also affected, let's say, theology, or let's say the study of religions. Because what they started saying is that eventually, so we are also we are experiencing an evolution also in our religious thought. So, for example, the first people were like animists, then they became polytheists, then they became monotheists, and now we should be shifting, towards leaving religion, outgrowing God. Oh, I had to put that in, So, I mean, this is like very, it's very, it's very interesting how the idea it isn't just a biology thing or scientific thing. It's also a social thing.
Yeah, and there's two serious problems with that way of thinking. The first is, remember going back maybe 10 minutes ago, for anybody who's just joining us, where I spoke about progression being not the way that Darwinian evolution works. And it doesn't matter whether you hold true beliefs or false beliefs. All that matters is you have more children and they have more children. So you have fertile offspring that can reproduce.
Okay.
So this idea that they push, which is we were sort of living in hunter-gatherer societies, and then you had shamans and animists, and then massive polytheistic beliefs, which led eventually to monotheism, which eventually led to what is today agnosticism and atheism and whatnot. Firstly, if that is the history they want to push and they want to say is a better thing, That's simply unbelievable from a Darwinian point of view, because from a Darwinian point of view, you don't have progress. So that's one serious problem. Yeah. And that serious problem is not something we're pushing as religious people. That's a problem in the way that they're pushing two narratives. They're pushing the narrative Darwinian evolution is true, and they're pushing the narrative we went from polytheism to theism to atheism, and both of these are in conflict. The second serious problem is that the biological, psychological understanding of the origin of religious belief is something which they are completely counterintuitive and contradictory theories to explain it. So they try and say, the same people, like Richard Dawkins, he says religion's bad, religion's evil, religion's this. And other evolutionary psychologists are like, wait, hold on a minute. Religion's a biological adaptation, right? It's a biological adaptation. Religious people have more children. It's there to help you survive. You need meaning. Then you get other evolutionary biologists who are like psychologists who are like, no. It's not a religion. Is not a evolutionary adaptation. It's a byproduct of something else that's an adaptation. But now you have three different camps, right? Now, one thing which I want to highlight is obviously they all can't be right. Obviously.
Yes. Because they are conflicting. I mean, they're contradicting each other.
But the most important thing to take away is they're contradicting within a camp, which is the naturalistic camp. When you look outside of that camp, we can challenge them from another angle. And the other angle we can challenge them from is, firstly, the idea that you have polytheism, theism, and atheism is nonsense according to our sociological and our sociological records and anthropology, because what we actually have in the world is cycles. So we have atheism, we have polytheism, theism, polytheism, theism, polytheism, theism. And in fact, the earliest civilizations that we can find, I mean, in terms of societies that came together and lived and thrived, we find actually that a lot of them are monotheistic. So we have monotheism in the records of the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, the ancient Chinese, the ancient Koreans, the ancient Persians, the ancient Indians, and you also get it in Arabia, in Tanzania. How does that make sense? And what we find is polytheism, theism, polytheism, theism, switching. So it doesn't make sense. And what we would say is your explanations of religion being an adaptation or religion being a byproduct of an adaptation, all of these things are fundamentally assuming an evolutionary outcome, or that religion is the evolutionary outcome. And what we would say is actually religion, if anything, is something which doesn't fit within an evolutionary paradigm. We would actually say, me and you, Alim, we're running in a forest, right? Now, we're being chased by a bear, right? This bear, it's the same bear that Khabib was wrestling. And now 20-something years later, it's a big one, yeah? And we went to Dagestan to go get autographs from Khabib, and we're just getting chased in the forest by this bear, yeah? Now, I just need to run faster than you, and you need to just run faster than me. But if I happen to stop and start praying to God for help, and you're like, you're just running, you're naturalistic, you're just running, you're not focusing on something else, right? I'm more likely to die than you. And there is a lot of evidence to show people will choose religious beliefs and religious motives and religious purposes above their survival, above their reproduction, above their wealth, above their status, to the point that religious people throughout history, and including within Islam, they would sacrifice their life for the sake of a higher being. And they would believe that's the righteous thing to do. Other people live in monasteries and they wouldn't have children. You would have brilliant minds like Isaac Newton, who wrote more about theology than he wrote about physics. And he was an evolutionary loser, even though he's a great guy, but evolutionary, he was a loser because he died without having any offspring. So the fact is, you're right, they have these perspectives, but what we can do is we can challenge them using their paradigm and our paradigm. Well,
I mean, okay. Okay. So let me just ask one question that's been, you know, it's been bothering all of us. So is evolution a fact? So this is one thing. And then the other thing is, how should a Muslim, let's say a Muslim scientist or someone who studies biology or medicine, you know, medicine, how should
let me do your first question first before I forget. Let's do the first question.
Okay. Okay. What? Okay. Okay. Is it a fact?
What
yes or no?
yeah. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that, because that itself is going to take some time. Yeah?
Okay.
So it depends how you define evolution. Yeah. If you define evolution as all of life being interconnected to a single origin, or natural selection being the main driving force, which is Darwinian evolution, it has different meanings. Now, if you simply mean the fact that we have biological change over time, that species over time, they evolve and adapt to their environments, and they go through speciation and new species come. And for example, we have fish that live in the ocean and they need to obviously see, so they have eyes. But over time, some of these fish, they've been trapped in this area which is under caves in which you have water. And these fish have the eye sockets, but they've lost the ability to see because they don't need to see because it's dark, right? It's overgeneration. They have vestigial organs. Like butterflies evolving and adapting according to, that type of evolution, it just happens. That's, the ancients knew that. That's fine. But is the evolution true? The evolution of all of life being interconnected to one single origin some 4 billion years ago, or the main driving force being natural selection? And the answer to that is obviously no, right? That's a scientific framework which they've put together because of naturalism, which we can go into. It's the only alternative they have right now, which is why they're sticking to it. And that is obviously something we would say it's a generally accepted scientific idea that all of life is interconnected. It's a generally accepted scientific idea that natural selection is the driving force of evolution, a naturalistic thing. However, it says valid scientific theory, but it doesn't mean it's true. And this links quite well to the next question you were asking about how is a Muslim supposed to deal with it. You and me, Alim, we lived, say, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. Allah is saying in the Quran, the universe has a beginning, right? Physicists, they said the universe has no beginning about 60, 70 years ago. In fact, even Einstein, in his theoretical framework, he assumed the universe has no beginning. So you had major scientists and you had a consensus that the universe is eternal. It always existed. Now, the scientific consensus, the valid scientific theory at the time, it contradicts the Quran because Allah says the universe has a beginning. But we as Muslims, we would accept it as a working theory, but wouldn't accept it to be literally true. We would be what philosophers of science call instrumentalists, which is a valid opinion. And what we would do is we'd say, okay, fine, yeah, we'll work within science, but we don't believe this to be true. Big Bang came, and then we discovered the universe has a beginning, which is in line with the Quran. 100 years from now, they may go back to the static state model. They may go back to something else. So what we do is we accept all science, Darwinian evolution, Big Bang cosmology, we accept it all as valid science, but it doesn't mean we accept it to be true literally. We simply are scientific instrumentalists. We use it, but we don't believe it to be literally true.
Okay. Okay, I get the idea. Do you know by any chance who Dr. James Tour, who Dr. James Tour is? Do you know who he is? He's a chemist. Like a leading chemist in the world.
He's a don in the field. He is big.
Yeah,
he is big. Big deal.
Why am I bringing him up? Because as I understood, my humble opinion is that he negates the theory of evolution, or not.
What he does,
let me just be clear. Why am I asking this? Because he's just one of those guys. I mean, there are many. Back in the days, like 20 or 30 years, someone found like a documentary that was done by another scientist where he also negates you know, evolution. Like, you know, it's like, and
it's better for us to say Darwinism rather than evolution.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he basically negates. Let's say that I don't know, you know, we came out of apes, for example, you know. So this is what I saw, you know, that he's doing, you know. And I know, I mean, I already know what's going to be the answer. You're gonna say that we are not this kind of we don't use the design argument like, you know, like religiously, if I can put it that way, right?
I don't understand. Say that part again.
Yeah. So what I understood from your lectures, some of your lectures, is that, for example, we don't negate the theory of evolution completely, like some of the Christians do, because they say that God created everything. You know, for example, a cow, he created it like it is, you know, from zero, you know, from nothing.
Yeah. So what we do is this, right? And I should clarify, I'm talking about North American Pentecostal Christianity, which is not Pentecostal, evangelical Christianity, Protestant Christianity, which is very strong in North America, not really strong in Europe. So they have a theological issue. They say death did not exist in the world until Adam alayhi salam sinned. Until he sinned, there was no death.
Oh, okay.
So they cannot accept fossils which are older than Adam alayhi salam, because no one could have died, no animal could have died before Adam ate the fruit. So what they do is they say Homo erectus, Homo naledi, Denisovans, dinosaurs, anything pre-Adamic, it either did not exist, it's a hoax, or it was living with Adam alayhi salam. So dinosaurs lived with Adam, and when he sinned, then they started dying. Before that, no one died. Now, we as Muslims, we don't need to accept that. And they also believe that Allah created each species individually, every single one. Yeah. Now, we as Muslims, we have no problem theologically. I'm not saying this is the view which is true. We have no problem theologically accepting that before Adam alayhi salam, there were things that looked like humans, right? Homo naledi, Homo erectus, dinosaurs, and all these types of things. We have no problem that Bani Adam, our species, it may have been a very recent introduction in terms of the evolutionary line. So the evolutionary thing is like 4 billion years old, right? And human beings, in terms of the way we define humans, not the way science, because for scientists, when scientists say human, they mean Homo naledi, Homo erectus, Denisovans, all of us, everything is human. Going back until, you know, like over 1 million years ago, right? When we branched off from the other primates. Now, we as Muslims, we would say no. In our theology, we believe that Adam was a miracle. He wasn't a myth. He wasn't a metaphor. He was a miracle. Yeah. And yes, that doesn't fit naturalism. Yes, that doesn't fit other things. So what we would do is we would make a distinction between Adam alayhi salam's lineage and something else that might have existed before, right? Now, when exactly did human beings come on earth? Where did they come on earth? All these types of things. In Islam, we have no answers. Islam don't have that human beings, they all came from China, or they came from Australia, or this place or that place, or we just know one thing for certain. The creation of Adam alayhi salam was like the creation of Isa alayhi salam, which is, it's a miracle, kun fayakun. Now, Alim, if me and you, what we do is, I come to Bosnia and I manage to find an atheist professor who's hardcore atheist professor, and a team of scientists I bring from the UK who are also atheists, and we go back in time 2,000 years ago. We go back. We go to Nazareth. We go to Nazareth, the home place of Isa alayhi salam. And Isa alayhi salam is 32 years old, just before he was taken up. Yeah. And we have the entire village of Nazareth. We have the entire area of Palestine frozen. Frozen. It's all frozen. Everyone's standing still. Then we take these scientists and we start doing a DNA analysis of everybody. So we take DNA and then we make trees. This person is related to this person. He's the mother, he's the father, he's this. Now, when we come to Isa alayhi salam and he's frozen and we take out his DNA, we will look in the population and we will see, okay, this woman, Maryam alayhi salam, looking at the DNA, she's the mother. Now, those scientists, when they're looking for a father, they're going to look at his DNA. They're going to find the closest person, probably from the family of Maryam alayhi salam, and say, he's the father. Because they don't believe in miracles. Just using genetics, they're going to say, he's the father. Likewise, when scientists are looking at the fossil record, at the human genealogical record, they can't accept the miracle of Adam, so they'll always link humans to something else. They couldn't have come from nowhere. Now, some Muslim theorists, they say, and it's very interesting, by the way, the atheists today, they deny Adam and Isa, and Allah says they're similar. Yeah. And also, they say, well, Adam alayhi salam, just like Isa alayhi salam went through a developmental stage, there was a miracle, but then there was a developmental stage, 9 months. Likewise, Adam alayhi salam, instead of being instantaneous, there could have been some developmental stage. Now, amongst the scholars, you get this argument. You have some who say he's made instantaneously. You have others who say he's made gradually, right? But they would say he doesn't have any primate ancestors. He doesn't have any parents. Now, for me, I don't bother getting into instantaneous or gradual. For me, all that matters is our narrative conflicts with their narrative because of naturalism. That's all that matters. So for us, the only thing we need to believe in is all human beings today are children of Adam and Eve. Anything else, we don't need to argue like the Christians about this and this and this. And what's very worrying, Alim, is because of the works of Harun Yahya in particular and other people, we've taken all of the North American Christian evangelical stuff and it's become our stuff. Now, one thing which I started doing, because everybody knows Harun Yahya, when I started studying Harun Yahya, when I first looked at Harun Yahya, this is when I was maybe a teenager. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying when I started studying the philosophy of biology and looking into things properly, then looking into the works of Harun Yahya, I basically realized, I'm sorry to say, it wasn't his work. He just took stuff from North America. This is my understanding. Took stuff from North America, La ilaha illallah, the logo, put it on there, Harun Yahya, colorful thing, print. And with a bit of Quran and Hadith. I'm not even kidding. I swear, I really do believe that's what was going on in Harun Yahya's camp.
Well,
that's how similar it is. That's how similar it. And you know what the sad thing is? In North America, there are very good Christians who have refuted Darwinian evolution in a very profound way, like Philip Johnson. Yeah. Harun Yahya didn't copy them. Who did he copy? He copied people who are much lower in terms of their intellectual prowess. Yeah. And sadly, the Muslim Ummah has been infected with this now. When I sometimes give a talk, Muslims are defending the Christian perspective, the Harun Yahya perspective. And when I say to them, Darwinian evolution is a valid theory, they think I've done something really evil and bad.
Yeah.
And they're shocked.
Heresy.
Because Yeah, they equate science with truth. And one of the problems this is linked to is scientific miracles in the Quran.
Yeah. Oh my God! Don't bring it. Don't say that word here. It's been banned because I've spoken on this issue like two live streams. I did only this, and bro, the backlash, bro, the backlash.
I'm going to show you the link. Yeah. So because the scientific miracles, the argument is essentially that science is giving you truth and the Quran's giving you truth, and Quran knew the truth before the science. Yeah. The problem is science is also giving you Darwinian evolution, but it doesn't fit with the Quran, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is in the past, and remember, and I think this is very important, we don't shy from this. In Islam, our epistemology, our aqidah, our understanding of the Islamic worldview, it doesn't come from the 20th century. It doesn't come from the 19th century. It comes from the first 3 generations of Muslims. That's all it comes from. We can adapt and change according to the tools they gave us. But the people who came after them, we don't take that framework if it contradicts the earlier framework. And the Muslims, the early Muslims, they recognize science to be ilm al-dhann, the knowledge of speculation. Yeah. Now, the problem is the scientific miracles narrative, it doesn't say science is ilm al-dhann. It says science is ilm of certainty. It gives us haqq, it gives us yaqeen. I truly believe the scientific miracles in the Quran narrative is one of the reasons why the Darwinian narrative is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I really, you know what's interesting? I mean, when I started practicing, you know, when I got religious, and so it was like 15 years ago or more. I mean, I was like a teenager. And what was very, very interesting is that one of the first documentaries that I saw on this issue is the documentary of Harun Yahya on evolution. And subhanAllah, it made such an, I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm just saying it as it is, because, you know, because this theory of evolution, it's been presented to myself like a theory that negates religion, you know. And now when Harun Yahya came with his, you know, documentary, this, like, you know, it showed me like a totally new perspective on evolution. But I mean, the problem is that he negates entirely. I mean, when we are saying entirely, that's like totally the idea of something, you know, changing or something evolving or something, you know. I mean, and just one more point. What I heard was later is that for example, I saw a clip of Yasir Qadi. He was one of your conventions or what have you. You had something like this at Taira, and he came and he just gave a brief talk on evolution. And what he said was that theologically speaking, we don't have a problem. Theologically speaking, for example, if you say that a cow evolved from whatever, you know, it's only the human aspect.
Yeah. A whale from a cow, yeah.
Yeah, would you agree with this, with what I said?
Well, firstly, I want to say 2 things about this. We both saw the Harun Yahya stuff. I'm not saying Harun Yahya was lied. He didn't. I haven't come across anything where he lied. Yeah. What I'm saying is, even the problems he raised, like the fossil record, like natural selection, all of those things are valid. The problem was his epistemology of what we need to negate and deny. That was the problem, not the stuff he was saying, because the stuff he was saying, it's well referenced. I looked up the stuff. It's good, right? It's fine. The problem is he doesn't even call Darwinian evolution science. He doesn't even accept it as science. That's too extreme. But the thing is, theologically, the way that Sheikh Yasir Qadi explained it, and said, you know, hypothetically, we can accept this. Hypothetically, we can accept this just when it comes to Adam Islam. I don't go that far. Yeah. Other Muslims, they even go further than Yasir Qadhi. They try and say, okay, if we take Islam, if we take science, like where can we? All I simply do is this. I make the argument, here's why Islam is true. Okay? Darwinian evolution is ilm al-dhan at best, and it cannot challenge it. Now, I don't go into the nuances.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'll tell you why. Allah says in the Quran, do not talk about what you don't know, because you will be questioned. Eyes and ears, you will be questioned. Allah says, I did not make you witnesses to your creation or to the creation of the heavens and earth. So when people are out there and they are telling me, look, you know, Imam Razi rahimullah, he said that Adam alayhi salam could have evolved gradually, not evolved, he could have come around gradually. And other people are using verses of the Quran in which Allah is talking about plants. You know, we brought you out the earth like plants. And, you know, there's many commentaries on this. And these aren't sellouts. These are academic Muslims who are saying, maybe this happened, maybe, you know, basically all these different possibilities. And in my talks and lectures, people really try and push me and they say, what do you think? What do you think? I stay away from all of that. The only thing that matters to me is it doesn't challenge the existence of God, and it's not absolutely certain, and that's it. I don't care about anything else. You go have your theological battles, you go have your theological discussions. For me, the most important thing is the existence of the scientific field of Darwinian evolution with all of its nuances. It doesn't undermine the existence of Allah and the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ and the Quranic narrative. Everything else I don't care about. Because if you're a da'iyah, this is all you care about. Yeah. If you're a theologian, go have your discussions. Yeah. I also believe, this is just my personal opinion, I also believe those discussions, the deep discussions, is Adam alayhi salam instantaneous, gradual, what could have happened, this. I think this causes problems when it's done publicly because it reinforces that science is true. Even though they don't do that, because it makes people think, look, people are rethinking because of science. Yeah. So I personally believe we don't even need those discussions. Have them behind closed doors, no problem. But in the public, I personally think we shouldn't have those discussions.
Yeah, this is like very, very good. I mean, I totally agree. So, I mean, let me see. I also have a lot of other questions, but as I said, we're gonna leave it to the public. So one of the brothers, he said something like this. He said, according to evolutionists, how did the first cells or life forms develop basic functions, eating, waste disposal, and similar, and how did they survive prior to developing those functions?
The thing is, the first molecule, it wasn't reproduced, it wasn't eating, it wasn't like, look, there's this entire field of what they call abiogenesis, which is how do you get from non-life to life? Yeah. And James Tour, he is the guy who absolutely demolishes this abiogenesis stuff, right? I would say Google him, watch his videos. I mean, they have an RNA first, DNA first. I mean, they have all these different models and they're trying to explain stuff. So not DNA first, it's RNA first or protein first or whatever it is. And, you know, what we need to simply understand is that they have to, from a naturalistic perspective, accept that life came from non-life. But the scientific data for that is really scant, you know. And some of the experiments, in fact, one of the experiments which Harun Yahya exposes, which is the Stanley Miller experiment, which the North Americans have exposed as well and others have exposed. Jonathan Wells, who I interviewed on my channel, he exposed this and other stuff. I mean, their abiogenesis accounts are terrible. They're terrible, right? I would say just look up the stuff, you'll see that there's not much there. It's not an issue.
So if Brother Subboor could advise us on some books regarding evolution and Darwinism from basic to complex, it would be great. And that's it. So
I always get this question, man. Look, I've been working on this book on and off for 5 years now. Every year, oh my God, every year it gets postponed. It's like, you know, it's like Shaitan is sitting there and just causing issues. But my plan, inshallah, is to get this book out. I don't know when, but like ASAP, I'm trying to get this book. I want to get this book out. But other than that, what I would advise, I would seriously advise everybody, read Hamza's book, The Divine Reality. Because what it does do is something even better than what the book me and Hamza and Dr. Tariq Ali are working on, the evolution one, is that if Islam is true, which is what the divine reality is there to show, then anything which contradicts it is automatically not an issue. Whether it's Darwinian evolution, whether it's Christianity, liberalism, secularism. If, for example, some Egyptologist comes along and says Musa alayhi salam never existed, never came to Egypt, it doesn't matter. As long as we can show the Quran is true, everything else that it contradicts is false. Why this is important, I think this is, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very, very passionate about this, yeah. I think one of the big issues we are facing today in the Muslim world, in terms of, especially the Western world, in terms of dawah, is Muslims who are wanting to study and look into apologetics and look into refutations, but they don't know our worldview. Now, when I first started practicing, the first thing I did was study Aqidah, and I studied tafsir, and I focused for some time, and I built up. And what I realized is this. Firstly, most Muslims, right? Most Muslims, sadly, you say to them, what does La ilaha illallah mean? They say there's no God but God, generally. But that's not even the right answer.
Yeah.
You know, when I learned this, I was like, oh my God, you know, I've got the basics wrong, yeah? It's none is worthy of worship except Allah. And there's a huge difference between the two. And the other thing which you learn in Aqidah is this. Islam starts off with negation first, meaning la ilaha, meaning you reject every single idol, every single ideology, every single thing which is in contrast to illallah. And what I learned in my early days of Islam is if Islam is true, then everything else which contradicts it, whether I understand it or I don't, whether I have evidence for it or I don't, automatically you can't have two truths which are contradicting. Everything else has to be false. Now, when I went and somebody asked me this, I went to Bristol University, one of these universities. One of the students asked me, he said to me, you know, you're there and he really liked my lecture. And he said, you know, you're challenging it. You're showing why it's not absolutely true and why there's problems and mistakes. Let me ask you, when you went to go study Darwinian evolution, did you come objectively? Did you come objectively, like maybe it's true and maybe it's not true, and look at the evidence objectively? Or did you begin with the belief that it's not true? I said, I began with the belief it's not true. He said, that's biased. I said, so what? We're all biased. If I know Islam is true, I'm not going to lie and bring up problems from Darwinism and say they exist. I just already believed it. And when I went in there, after some months, I found stuff which fit my worldview. I didn't make it up. I found it. Why this is important is my iman in Allah and His Messenger is not increased by my refutation of Darwinism, because my refutation of Darwinism was already done when I understood what Islam means, even before I knew the philosophy of biology. Now, this is very important because many Muslim brothers that I know who interact with us, not personal brothers I know, but people who interact with us. Akhi, explain to me how to refute feminism. How do you refute liberalism? How do you refute scientism? How do you refute Darwinism? How do we do this? The age of Aisha, how do we explain this? How do we? And I'm like, Akhi, first focus on why Islam is true. You know, there's one brother that came up to me and he said to me, Akhi, you know, Numan Ali Khan, he's off the manhaj because this brother refuted him. But then this brother, he's refuted by this other brother. And I said, Akhi, have you read the Quran in a language you understand? He said, no. I said, so you're talking about Numan Ali Khan being refuted by this guy and that guy being refuted by someone else. You don't know the basics. Go back to the basics. And today, giving dawah has become fashionable. So people, they don't want to study Aqidah. People don't want to study the tafsir of the Quran. People don't want to know, like, I'm being absolutely honest with you. I'm so sorry. You grab a Western kid. You go to the university here. You grab a child. The child or a student, right? You grab them and you say, okay, have you heard of Ali Dawah? Yeah. Have you heard of Muhammad Hijab? Yeah. Have you heard of, you know, so-and-so? Yeah. Okay. Have you heard of Imam Tahawi? Huh? What? Tahawi? Tawheed? No. Tahawi. Like, have you read Kitab-e-Tawheed? Have you read? Like, they don't know. And I'm honestly saying to anybody watching, yeah, please, 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 your iman is not built on doubt. Your iman is not built on polemics. Allah is my witness. I received an email which made me so angry. It made me so angry that I was in disbelief. Somebody emailed me and said, you know, I watch your videos, I really like them, and you refute all these people, and I find that's better for me than just reading the Quran or just studying Islam. I honestly thought this guy is insane. You think your iman is built upon refutation, on rad? Your iman is not built on that. It's the knowledge of Islam. And this is also why I truly believe anybody who goes and studies another worldview without fully understanding Islam, they will be affected by that worldview, because all worldviews, they have biases. No one starts off like whatever, yeah? Now, I know a brother who rang me from a Islamic institution in the UK where they're training to be alims, where they have a 7-year course. His friend, instead of studying Islam, he started to look into Christianity, to give dawah to Christians. And the Christian polemics are very strong. For anybody who knows, they're very strong and they're very dangerous, because the Orientalist work and the other things, this guy who was training to be an alim, he became a Christian. I'm not surprised.
Wow.
I'm not surprised, because he didn't understand Aqidah. He didn't understand our basics. So yes, the brother who asked the question, the book on evolution, inshallah, the book is going to be out. But whoever's asking that question, my question to you is, just focus on why Islam is true first. The Forbidden Prophecies, The Eternal Challenge, these are great books. The Divine Reality, and of course, the ultimate book, which for me, when I started practicing and I went to university, and when I went to university, I was a Jummah Muslim. Pray Jummah, and that's it. For me, the truthfulness of Islam was established by the fact that Islam teaches Tawheed, and the messages of the Quran, they hit my heart. That for me was the ultimate proof of Islam. It wasn't the Kalam cosmological argument. It wasn't the philosophy stuff. It was the fitrah being awoken by Allah's word. Yeah. If you start off your Islamic journey and your foundations are rubbish, you are going to be hit by a chain ball. And I know people who started off practicing, they don't know the basics. They went and studied and looked into polemics and they got confused. And now they're confused. Yeah. So don't be like that. Focus on the first things first.
Jazakallahu khaira for that. I mean, that very, very good advice. I mean, that just it really hit home. I mean, and you have to watch out. You know, you have to take care of yourself, because your vocal cords are gonna get burnt.
I've got a bad throat anyway.
Oh,
that's why my voice has been going for the last couple of days.
Okay. No, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I just don't have anything to add. I mean, that's so, because I'm also of that view, you know, that you have to learn your own stuff. Because you know what people ask me a lot, I mean really a lot, is should I allow my daughter or my son to study philosophy? You know, and I know you did a video on it, and I totally agree with you. I mean, you know, I mean, talk about, you know, career paths and so on. I mean, you can't study something like that without studying Islam before it. I mean, it's just
not only this.
I mean,
you're not studying objectively. Western philosophy isn't it's there to churn out liberal secular atheists. So they will not go in there and they'll not give you the strongest arguments for God. They'll begin with doubt. They'll begin with these perspectives. And you know what's very funny and contradictory and hypocritical about philosophy? You can check this out, Alim, yourself. I learned this when I was doing my master's, that philosophically, from an atheistic perspective, objective morality doesn't exist, and moral skepticism is the strongest argument philosophically. Yeah? Yet the majority of philosophers don't accept it, even though they can't philosophically refute moral skepticism, but they don't accept it. They're like on their fitrah.
Oh, subhanallah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So we as Muslims, why should I go study their perspective? If anything, if I could start a university, what would I do? I would not call it even philosophy, because I think it creates confusion. I'll call it Islamic thinking or Islamic epistemology, or Hamza likes to call it Islamic thought. I would start off on Ibn Taymiyyah's revelation and reason, and I'd bring that basis. And look, we're not sectarian as Muslims, yeah? So we would bring in Imam Ghazali, we would bring in Imam Razi, we'd bring, and you know, you sometimes think, oh, why are you bringing people from different, doesn't matter, yeah? As long as we understand what the perspectives are and you're a mature student of knowledge. This isn't for everybody. So and this is the thing. Everybody wants to be like Muhammad Hijab. Yeah. I've met people who are miskeen in their Islam, like they'll get shaken by something, yeah. And they're like, oh, I wanna, you know, like they want to be like Muhammad Hijab. Like Muhammad Hijab, bro. Like that's not your job as a Muslim to be a famous YouTuber. Your job as a Muslim is to be an abid. And an abid doesn't need to be in the limelight, you know? And being in the limelight, your public deeds, you don't know if they exist. Yeah? So Muslims, we've started to become like I get people who say to me, share my page, share my video, do this, do this. I share people if they're bringing something unique, something new. If you are just trying to be like another hijab, another Ali Dawah, that's not the point of Islam. Yeah, Islam's not about that. You should try and be hidden. One of my teachers in the Dawah is this brother from South London, from Uganda. He's a convert to Islam. This guy is a legend, and he's the first guy I learned Dawah from. And this guy, he has no YouTube. Right now, I can even say his name. His name is Muhammad Sarawaji. He'll never, ever know I said his name. Why? Because he doesn't use social media. He doesn't use any of these things. What does he do? Physically stands and gives dawah to people in South London. He doesn't care about these things. So we as Muslims, we should always check ourselves. Are we learning these arguments to build our iman? In that case, that's not how you build iman. Are we learning these arguments so then we can be like those people giving dawah? Well, again, you need to check your intention. Are we learning these things because there is a real haja, there's a real reason? Good. Should an average person study philosophy? No. That's my answer. It's no. And there has to be a bunch of conditions, especially because Muslims have such an inferiority complex. We have so much post-colonial trauma. If a white guy in a suit says the moon is made of cheese, Muslims will believe it, right? That's how gullible we are. So I definitely wouldn't recommend something like that.
So this question is interesting. Could it be that God created forms of humanoids before Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, since we are finding so many fossils all several millions of years?
Yeah, I mean, that's not an issue.
This is something that you that you already discussed.
Allah says in the Quran, Allah says, I created that which you don't know. There may be things weirder than dinosaurs. There may be some really extraordinarily, most of the life on earth is in the sea. Even today, we don't know really what's in the sea.
Yeah,
there may be some weird dinosaur / pig type thing walking at the bottom of the ocean. You know, we don't know. We don't know what's out there. All we know is Homo erectus, Homo naledi, whatever it is, Denisovans, dinosaurs, every single thing is a creation of Allah. That's what we know.
Okay. Oh my God. We got carried away so much. Let me see. Possibility of intellectual. Question. So why most atheists don't believe in existence of good and everything became ourself from lower? I don't understand. So I don't understand. What are his thoughts on the possibility of intelligent extraterrestrial life existing outside the Earth? The Pentagon has released 3 videos of what it has officially called UFO phenomena.
Yeah, that UFO stuff I don't really accept. Yeah, but I do believe it. Like, it's a possibility that there is life elsewhere in the universe, and there may be very strange things. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, like, I'm looking at, say, I'm looking at you right now, right? And I'm staring at you, I'm looking at you, right? I can see you. I look up at the sky, I look at stars, I look at these things. These are just things which Allah has allowed me to see with my naked eye. Yeah. But there could be things out there which Allah has just blinded us to in terms of our spectrum. There could be creatures on another planet. There could be all these things going on. We don't know. I mean, we as Muslims, like, what do you see on my shoulder here? What do you see here? An atheist would say nothing, but a Muslim would say, no, there's an angel, there's an angel. But you can't see it. The fact is, it's here, but you can't see it. There might be life out there. We can't see it. You know, Allah's messenger is a beautiful narration of the Prophet ﷺ. I'm paraphrasing it. But the Prophet ﷺ said, you know, the heavens, they creak, and they have the right to creak, because there's not like a space except that there's an angel worshipping Allah. Where are they? An atheist would say. We would say they're there. 100% they're there. During the battle of Badr, Allah sent them down. Yeah? We believe in the ghaib. That's what we are. So why couldn't there be aliens? There could be aliens. Of course they could be.
Šta ti je Dandelion? I'm sorry. What does Dandelion? What does it mean? Dandelion. I mean, so I mean, one sister, she was asking, you know, what should we do when in school our children are taught the theory of evolution and other, you know, stuff. I mean, what do you advise?
Teach them the philosophy of science, not philosophy of science, meaning the science doesn't give you truth, and depending on their level, they'll get it. The most important thing is you get them to understand it doesn't deny God. That's the most important thing. Yeah. And you get them to understand science doesn't give you absolute truth. That's it. You know, it can give you models which change. I mean, children are very fitri, right? It doesn't require that much effort. The most important thing, I think, for children in terms of raising them is that they have a strong Islamic identity. I'm a father to 2 daughters, alhamdulillah, and a big thing I want to do with my kids is identity. This is super important, even before ideas. Identity. Yeah, you're a Muslim. This is what Muslims believe, right? and affirming what we believe. I think these things are very important, because essentially Islam is a religion for young people. You know, every Friday when we're reciting, you know, we're speaking about the people of the cave. We're talking not about elderly people, we're speaking about young people. So young people, by their very nature, they're closer to the fitrah, they're closer to Allah. When Musa alayhi salam's nation refused to fight, 2 young people stood up, said, we'll fight with you. 2 young people, they killed Abu Jahl. Young person conquered Istanbul, right? So don't worry, like, yes, you should worry about your kids, but, you know, build their identity, you know, I think that's very important.
Well, I mean, the grammar is just like all over the place. So the question is, my geography professor asked the students, what is older, dandelion or rose? So can you answer me? I think he is an evolutionist.
Say that again.
My geography professor asked the students, what is older, dandelion, so it's D-A-N-D-E-L-I-O-N, dandelion, or rose, or a rose. So can you answer me? I think he is an evolutionist, something like this.
What's older, rose or is it daffodils?
No, dandelion. I mean, I have to Google it, man. I just don't know.
Basically, it's a type of flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Google knows it. Just go find it.
So, I mean, so he, one sister, she made a comment. She said, Darwin needs a bigger brain to understand how women evolved. I mean, yeah. Okay, there's a question that's not linked to.
You're Bosnian, right?
Yeah. Background is Bosnian.
Like, so do you have a lot of Turkic influence in Bosnia, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So, like, was Harun Yahya really big in Bosnia because of the Turkish influence?
Yes, he was very big.
Okay, it's interesting.
Because all of his books, you know, they were like very good designed, you know, and they used to sell them because you know, in Bosnia we have this one Islamic community. It's like a Roman Catholic church. It's like on the same level, you know. So they distributed all of his books, you know, to ordinary people, you know. So you know,
the same in Turkey. And in Turkey, he's like, here in the UK, Harun Yahya, people do know about him and he's known, but Turkey is, you know, it's just everywhere. Obviously, because most of his stuff was in Turkish anyway. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's just how it is. So, can a Muslim resonate with the teachings of Stoicism? I know this doesn't have. It's off topic, but
look, we as Muslims, Allah says in the Quran, it is He who sent His messenger with guidance in the religion of truth so that it may prevail over all religions, even though the disbelievers hate it. In another place, Allah says, and enough is Allah for a witness. The fact is, Islam is there as a system to supersede Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Sikhism, liberalism, scientism, Darwinism, Stoicism, you name it. Islam is going to, as a system, prevail over everything. We don't really care. Who cares? Stoicism, nihilism, this, that. You know, people, even when I was in Pakistan, when I went there last year, people were trying to give me ideas. One guy said to me, you know, Aisha radhiyallahu anha, she was a feminist, and she was a feminist because she spoke about women's rights. Other people are talking about you can be a liberal and a Muslim. Look, Islam is Islam, and Islam is better than everything. You bring me anything, Islam is better than that. You bring me anything in Stoicism, which is better than Islam, and I'll show you that Islam is better. We don't care about Stoicism or Confucianism or any of these things. I mean, if you look at the Stoicistic perspective, who flipping cares? Yeah, we have the belief nothing happens on this earth, not a leaf drops without Allah's permission. Stoicism, you know, you maintain yourself according to the, you don't react to the external world. You sort of accept reality. Well, wondrous is the affair of the believer. If a good thing happens, he's grateful. If a bad thing happens, he's patient. What does Islam have, which you're saying, which is lacking in, what's lacking in Islam that you can get from Stoicism? You know, I sometimes get Muslims asking me, can I be a Muslim vegan? Can I be this? Can I be that? The fact is this, and I'm very passionate about this. Islam means submission. Submission means total control. Right now, Alim, you're on Discord. You're not on Twitter. You're not on Instagram. You're on Discord. That's what you're doing live stream through. Okay? That's one program that's running. I can't have Mac and Windows running. You are got to have one operating system, and the Muslims' only operating system is La ilaha illallah. Other than that, everything else we reject.
Ask him what Darwin thought about the Ottomans and why he would deserve an Ottoman slap. Reši. Yeah.
Darwin considered the white people to be the most superior European, and amongst the Europeans, he considered the English to be better than the French and the Portuguese because they were better at colonization. He considered the Caucasian, the Turkic people, you know, from Central Asia, from that region to be actually backwards and to be savages, and that's why he considered them inferior, and therefore he deserves an Ottoman slap.
How did they manage to organize dawah in England on that level, be that knowledgeable on a high level and have such an impact on the whole planet?
You know, Alim, that's a very interesting question, and Allah has blessed.
Would you say that the right people got together? For example, you and Imran, you're like, you know, I had to go there.
You know what, Imran, yeah. Let's not start on him. Yeah. The thing is, look, Alim, right now, you have how many subscribers do you have on YouTube?
27,000 and something.
Okay. Now, if you take a random person, any random person, what city do you live in?
Me, I'm in Slovenia here. Jesenice.
Grab anybody and give them your channel, and they have a platform. They could be better than you, worse than you. They could be as boring as watching paint dry. It doesn't matter. They have a platform. The thing is, in the last century, London was the hub in terms of the world power. Before the Americans became the superpower, it was London. And the British Empire was the biggest empire in the world. And even after World War I and even after World War II, London still, today, it still is considered the most strategic city in the world. I actually Googled this. So it's not the case that the Muslims in the UK are super smart. We could have been anybody could have been in our position. The fact is, because of the fact that London is seen as the center and English has become an international language, America is too far away. It's right in the middle. It affects Asia and it affects North America. And because the English language and colonization and all of these things, anybody that's going to be giving dawah in the UK, you know, it's going to have a global impact. So it's nothing to do with us.
Oh, okay. That was humble. And
come on, like people like Imran, like if they can have an impact, it shows you that it's You invite him on your show? Did you invite him?
Yeah, I did. He was the first person.
Before me.
Well, well, no comment. I mean,
No. It makes total sense because, you know, before you eat, you know, you have some gherkins or olives and you throw them out. Then you get the meat. Yeah. My aim in the dawah is to be better than Imran Hussein. That's it. That's it. As long as I'm always ahead of him. That's it.
oh my God. So ask how he has for Christian messages. No, we are just only questions regarding the topic, guys. Don't ask questions regarding Christianity and other stuff, because we are. I beg your pardon. What?
Do you understand Turkish?
No.
Okay.
It's
I was gonna say.
it's too different from the Balkan languages, even though we have a lot of. So what is his opinion? What is, in his opinion, strongest biological chemical argument for creation rather than abiogenesis? Abiogenesis. Is it irreducible complexity or something else?
I don't understand the question.
So what is, in his opinion, the strongest biological chemical argument for creation rather than so it's abiogenesis, right? Abiogenesis. Is it irreducible complexity or something else? Irreducible complexity or something else?
So from a biological perspective, irreducible complexity or intelligent design, all of those things are ruled out because of methodological naturalism anyway. Yeah. So the only thing, they will accept abiogenesis no matter how speculative it is because it's naturalistic, and they'll always deny intelligent design because it's supernatural. And that's all I can really say about this.
Yeah, it's not irreducible. I misread. It's irreducible complexity or something else. Yeah, irreducible. Sorry, boys. Irreducible. Kako se zove hemičar? James Tour. So it's James Tour. Dr. James Tour.
Yeah.
So did I understand correctly? The theory of evolution is the transition from one form to another.
Again, I would say, I'm not going to go over it again because it's going to take too much time, but I have a talk on YouTube. If you put in Oxford Brookes University, Oxford, or just put Oxford and put evolution and Islam, the talk will come up. I go through the different definitions of evolution and what we mean. I mean, I don't want to repeat what I said earlier. It's going to take too long. Just
don't. So do you think that in a global view that atheism is in crisis? Is the number of people who are leaving atheism and becoming believers increasing? It seems so. So this is a question.
No, the new atheist, I can only talk about the Western world, right?
Yeah.
Atheism as a phenomena in, say, communist China is different, right? You would say atheism is still very strong there. But the new atheist movement of Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris, it suffered a lot. Yeah, it suffered a lot. Number one, it was completely overestimated. They thought they were going to conquer the world. They thought they had a global movement. Like people are going to be, they had a rally in 2012 called the Reason Rally in America, which was the first time all the atheists came out. There was like 40,000 people. And that's a small thing for America, but it's a very big thing for atheists getting together. They tried to do it again in 2016 and they actually had less people. Yeah. Sam Harris, he went off and started speaking about spiritual atheism. Daniel Dennett is an old man and, you know, he looks like Santa Claus. No one takes him seriously. Richard Dawkins, he's just become a Islamophobe and talking about Islam is like Nazism and, people are just thinking he's a senile old man. And Christopher Hitchens just went and died. Yeah. So they've just gone their different ways and it's just not going anywhere. Jordan Peterson has done a lot of damage. I actually think alone, he's he's taken out a lot of their thinking, because fundamentally atheism can't deal with the fundamental human problem of suffering. Can't deal with it. And Jordan Peterson, you know, he speaks a lot about suffering and meaning of life and nihilism, because atheism is, you know, you're a teenager, you're a young guy in your early 20s, yeah, religion's bad, blah, 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 blah. When you hit your 30s and you have family members that die, and you realize you're going to die one day, and you realize life is hard, new atheism is no longer attractive. You start looking at Stoicism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam. Yeah. So, you know, it's like a fad. It's like a phase. Do you remember a group of Boyzone?
The
Boyzone.
Boyzone. Yeah. I know.
You're old enough to remember Boyzone, yeah?
Yeah.
So you go to a 15-year-old girl and you say to her, have you heard of Boyzone? You're like, what? Have you heard of Justin Bieber? Yeah. So Boyzone is dead. Who remembers Boyzone? Like 35-year-old women. Yeah. The thing is, the new atheism thing is so out of fashion. Like, you know, very few people would argue it's something anymore.
I just to wrap it up. So what I heard in the last show you did on Hamza's channel, if I remember correctly, is that you feel like that you've invested too much effort and too much time into this topic of atheism and, you know, this new age atheism and so on. So something like this you were talking like, because it really did seem, as you said, it really did seem that they are gonna take over everything, you know, because, you know, the Richard Dawkins book, it was selling like, you know, like we say here, like milk and honey, you know. I mean, but it seems that it's slowing down, and that we should, rather than focus on atheists, we should more focus maybe on Christians and other groups that are much closer to us. Do you agree with this or not?
I think that was yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at Jordan Peterson's work, where he's talking about nihilism and existence and suffering, and when I've traveled in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, I mean, Christianity is growing. I'm sorry to say, it's growing. In fact, one of the debates I went to a few years ago, Hamza debated some random atheist, and the debate was set up between the Islamic Society and the Atheist Society came together to put together this debate. The atheists, their president or their spokesman, he came forward, he gave an introduction. I found out later on, after like 2 years or something, that guy who was part of the Atheist Society actually converted to Christianity. Yeah. Like, you know, we haven't, I mean, what do people care about, Alim? What do people care about? They worry about death. They worry about suffering. They worry about meaning. They worry about how they can live a life with all of these traumas and these difficulties. And the Christians are way ahead of us. They're way ahead of us in terms of their social work. Yeah. You become homeless in London. You know, may Allah protect you, but say if you became homeless in London, you'd come across Christian charities. Very few Muslim charities. They know deep down how to connect with people. They have charities, they have orphanages, they have schools, they have all this stuff going on. When we're intellectually, you know, fighting these atheists, you know, that's in comparison to the way that Christians have gone into Africa, gone into Asia, gone into Latin America, even here in the UK. They have special programs to help bring prostitutes to Christianity, drug dealers to Christianity, community leaders to Christianity. They help people who are living beneath the poverty line. I am honestly thinking, oh my God, man, like we just love debating and discussion. But these guys have been working their butts off. And I truly believe the greatest threat to us as Muslims in terms of a religion which is winning over. Okay, how many Muslims become atheists, Alim? How many? Not that many. How many Muslims have become Christian? Millions. Millions.
Wow.
Millions of Muslims in Bangladesh. Bangladesh, Indonesia, certain parts of Pakistan, sub-Saharan Africa, they have become Christian. Now, you know, if you follow my channel, you would know I'm a Uyghur activist. Yeah, I speak about the Uyghurs.
Just to cut you off, I mean, there were a lot of comments. Tell him to speak about you know, Turkmenistan and so on. You know.
Okay. So anyway, I met one of the Uyghur brothers, and he said in East Turkestan, the Christians the Christians are finding Uyghur leaders, and they are getting them to come to Christianity through bribery and other things, because they want the Uyghurs to convert. And some Uyghurs, not all, vast majority have not, but some have become Christian. So it shows you they're everywhere. They're literally Syrian refugees that came to Europe. Who were the first people to respond? Christians. Yeah. I mean, I have 2 kids. I have a wife. If I hit hard times, if I go to a masjid and ask for help, or if I go to a church and ask for help, it's mostly going to be a church that's going to help me, even though I'm not a Christian. That's how far we are behind. Yeah. So that's why I meant that we've spent too long on these guys.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. I saw on I'm just drifting a little, but I saw on this on the social page of Gabriel Romani. You know, he lives in Malaysia, as I understood, or he's been a lot to Malaysia. And what he said is, it's like, you know, that the numbers of Muslims are like really drastically dropping. And this is, I mean, this is, it's sad. It's very sad. I mean, SubhanAllah.
They're going to become a minority in Malaysia.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. And the thing is, when I went to Malaysia, it was shocking that the government allowed people to build temples. It allowed people to build, you know, and they allowed the Chinese in. Chinese owned the businesses, and the Malaysians worked for them. Yeah. I mean, you know, like, I'm not racist. And of course, the Chinese civilization is an ancient civilization. But the Communist Party of China, which has been around for 70 years, let's not forget, the first victim through the Cultural Revolution was the Chinese people. And they're the ones who killed millions. Mao killed millions. And the Communist Party, they go and send people. They have lots of people. They export them. They're in Africa. They're in Asia. They've come to Europe. They've gone to Latin America. They're opening up businesses. And especially in Malaysia, the Chinese are taking over. They're taking over. And, you know, like, I'm not somebody who, you know, I'm not somebody who says this lightly, and I'm not exaggerating, but the Bosnian conflict is something which it very much affected the childhoods of anybody who was growing up in the 90s. In the 90s, that was like the #1 thing that everybody, fundraising events, masjid talks, Bosnia this, Bosnia this, Bosnia this. But collectively, we were all united, because we knew if we don't help the Bosnians, it'll be like Andalusia. They'll be finished forever. Everybody knew it was life and death, life and death, life and death. When it comes to the Uyghurs, I would say it's the same thing, except the difference is, with the Bosnians, the Muslims came together. With the Uyghurs, sad to say, most Muslims, they don't even know what's going on. They don't know that the Uyghurs accepted Islam. And this is very interesting. The Turkic people, they accepted Islam in the 8th century. In 8th century, during the time of the Abbasids. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Now, my family history, originally we're Abbasis. Originally, we are from Iraq. We're invaders. We came and we settled in India, right? From the 8th century, when the Abbasid Caliphate was there, they fought the Chinese, the Tang dynasty, and the Turks, who were mushriks at the time. They helped the Muslims against the Chinese, and they started converting. So, you know, everybody loves Ertugrul. Everyone loves Ertugrul. They don't understand. Ertugrul didn't look like the guy on the series. Yeah, Ertugrul looked like a modern day Uyghur, like a modern day Uzbek or Tajik or Kazakh. Yeah, his language was not the sort of dialect he has. Yeah, the fact is, these people are very special. Why are they special? From what we know, the Prophet ﷺ never met a Turk. The Prophet ﷺ never met a Turk. But he said, do not fight the Turks unless they fight you. This is a Sahih narration. And what does it go to show you? There's something about these people. The Turkic people are the only Islamic civilization that accepted Islam voluntarily and became the Khalifa. They became the Caliphate. And of course, we didn't force any Islam on anybody. But what I mean is there was no conquest involved. The Abbasids, the Umayyads never controlled Central Asia, right? They themselves became Muslim and they launched the Seljuk Empire and then later on the Ottoman Empire. And all of these people, the Uyghurs are the first Turkic group to accept Islam. Uyghur, it means civilized Turk, because they're the first ones to settle from the nomadic lifestyle to the city lifestyle. The mosques in Urumqi, in Kashgar, in East Turkestan, these are hundreds of years old, and today the Chinese are destroying them. Yeah? So we need to get together like we did in Bosnia, and we need to campaign, we need to support, and we're not asking anybody for something difficult. We're saying, go onto social media and highlight it. That's all we're saying.
Okay. Okay. So I think that we're gonna oh my God, the questions. I mean, now it's getting all political. So let's just Roman Catholic. What? Remo Catholic. Okay, okay, bro. Okay, bro. Just calm down. Have a cup of tea, you know, and enjoy the show, bro. Let me just fire some of the questions. So one brother asked, do you think that Islam is going to be the largest religion in 10 or 20 years from now?
I don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 years or 10 years. What I do know is the Prophet ﷺ told us that Islam is going to become dominant all across the world, and that's likely to happen. Whether it's likely or not to happen within a certain number of years, we don't know. Statistically, according to Pew Research think tank, Islam is supposed to be the largest religion by 2070. I know that, right? Now, of course, things can change. Sociologically, things can change. We know through a narration of the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet said people will enter Islam in crowds and leave in crowds. A person will be a believer in the morning and disbelieve in the evening. So we're going to have exchanges. You're going to have apostasies. You're going to have conversions. Overall, Islam is going to prevail and Islam is going to grow.
Okay.
What year? I don't know. What I would say through social media, Islam is going to grow like it's never grown before, because social media gets rid of all of those barriers. Yeah. So I would say, you know, giving dawah the way that, for example, we're on this Discord, you know, being able to communicate Islam in such an open, free way, this is wallahi such a great blessing. 100 years ago, you and me, we couldn't convey Islam in the West, but today we can. Yeah. And of course, they're propagating secularism in the Muslim world as well. No problem. You know, it's a natural selection of what's the best idea.
So, does Ayura plan any talks or debates with Jordan Peterson, and would that be a good idea? And the follow-up question: how much is Jordan Peterson dangerous for a layman Muslim, or for layman Muslims? Yeah.
Firstly, I don't know about the follow-up question. I would say about Hamza, we tried to get Hamza to speak to Jordan Peterson. Then obviously
he got ill.
He got ill. We managed to speak to somebody that was communicating with him, say his secretary, I don't know who it was. It wouldn't be like a debate, but it'd be like a discussion, but it wouldn't be IERA. IERA doesn't do that anymore. It'd be the Sapiens Institute.
Okay. So question, any advices for young people in what should they invest their time and so on?
So, and we can end upon this, I think. This is a very good question.
Okay. Yeah. We can wrap it up.
Many years ago, a young brother asked Abdurrahim Green what he should read, what science books, or, you know, what type of thing for the dawah and what. So Abdurrahim said something beautiful. He said, read the Quran in obviously a language you understand and understand it. And when you finish reading it, read it again. And when you finish reading it, read it again. When you finish reading it, read it again. You know, the Quran has its own complete paradigm. The Quran has its own universe. The Quran gives you this way of looking at the world. It gives you new color, right? And honestly, I would say, you know, on the Day of Judgment, one of the biggest regrets that people are going to have is they're going to recognize that a messenger is going to say, oh Allah, my people, they abandoned the Quran. Yeah. So we all love these beautiful recitations online, and we should listen to them, and we should have the translations on them. Recently, Sheikh Noreen passed away, may Allah have mercy on him, a beautiful reciter. So just, you know, really get tafsir books, start pondering. I would highly, for anybody who speaks Urdu, there's a guy called Dr. Subboor Ahmad. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. I wish somebody could translate his stuff. There's also, of course, other great tafsirs which are written in many different languages. From what I've heard, John Fontaine went to Bosnia, and he was telling me, I mean, you guys have ancient scholars and ancient mosques, and, you know, you have your own intellectual tradition in the Bosnian language, and I'm sure you have stuff there as well. And, you know, just read and gain knowledge. It's you can't go wrong.
Okay, bro. Jazakallah khairan for being our today's guest. I mean, it was really an honor. I mean, this is like, you know, it's gonna be my annual holiday. You know, this date, the 14th of November. So I mean, it's been really a pleasure. I hope that this is not our last encounter, and that inshallah we're gonna have a lot of, you know, I think that this is very it's been a blast, really. I hope you.
I was thinking you could also interview Arsalan Hadayat from Talk to East Turkestan.
Okay.
The brother who comes with on the thing, because obviously, you know, he's a Uyghur activist who is on the Sunnah. He's somebody who's very much in tune with what's happening, and the more exposure that we can give him, the more exposure we give the Uyghurs, because mashallah, he's on BBC, Al Jazeera, TRT. He needs to now penetrate the YouTube domain, the social influencers like yourselves, because that's where you have real impact, you know.
Okay, I mean, you just give me his contacts and I'm gonna, you know, call him, and that's it. Okay. So any last thoughts, any last remarks?
Any last remarks, any last thoughts? I learned some Uyghur this week. I learned something.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say it because I'm trying to not only learn it, but I'm also trying to make this, inshallah, popular. Yeah. So I want you to tell me what the meaning is. Yeah. This is the Uyghur Pledge of Allegiance. So when the Uyghur people, when they had a Islamic Republic in 1933, when they had their own state, they had a Pledge of Allegiance that the Uyghurs made. And this Pledge of Allegiance they have till today. And it's 4 statements. Okay? Dinam Islam.
Okay. So
What does that mean?
It could mean my religion, or I pledge that my religion is Islam, or right?
Millatim Uyghur. My nation, my race or ethnic thing is Uyghur. Okay. Watanam Sharqiya Turkestan.
So my country, or my
country.
Yeah, watan is country. I know from Arabic. So my country is what you just said.
Sharqiya.
Yeah, Turkestan.
East Turkestan.
Yeah. Sharqiya. Yeah, of course. Okay. East Turkestan.
Dushmanam Khatay Tajawuz Jirle.
Is the first word dushmanan?
Dushmanam.
So dushmanam is like it can be our enemies or something.
Our enemies, yes.
Yeah, because we also say in Bosnian we say dushmani. So
dushmanam. Khatay Tajawuz Jirle. It means my enemy is the Chinese invader. Very powerful, because it shows you Islam is the main thing. Their race is Uyghur, their state is East Turkestan, and they want freedom.
Yeah.
Very.
So they say that I should teach you to say something in Bosnian. So say we're gonna say thank you for watching. Okay, thank you for watching.
Avalati.
So it's it's like hvala vam što ste gledali.
Okay. Havala. Say that again.
Oh my God! It's hvala vam. So once more. Hvala vam.
Hvala vam.
Što ste gledali. Što ste gledali.
Što ste gledali.
Great, bro. Thank you.
How do you say that Darwinian delusions is better than epistemics? You say in Bosnian.
Oh.
1 second.
Znači, Darwinian Delusions channel, znači kanal, znači Darwinian Delusions.
No, say it again. Say it again.
So kanal Darwinian Delusions bolji je od kanala Epistemics.
That's it, bro. I'm gonna show that.
Oh my God, you're trolling him. So let me just unplug in my own language. So thank you for being here once again. Just to, hvala vam narode što ste gledali, Allah vas nagradio. Inšallah ta'ala, vidimo se sutra imamo emisiju. Lajkajte stream, podijelite ovaj video dalje. Ima dosta dobrih stvari, tako da inšallah ta'ala vjerovatno ću malo klipati određene stvari, pa ćemo staviti na društvene mreže i tako. Allah vas nagradio, znači što ste bili ste doista predivno, znači bilo ovo danas druženje. I vidimo sutra, nemojte zaboraviti, sutra također imamo live u 8 sati. Ostani još ti malo sa nama. To možda, ne mogu. Sutra, inšallah. Sutra ćemo napraviti tako da imamo live stream, nakon live streama, kad ugasim live stream, možda 15-20 minuta nakon toga upalit ćemo ponovo, pa ćemo se još malo družiti i tako. Allah vas nagradio. Nadam se da ste se mogli koristiti. Eto, pokušavali smo kako god da privedemo ovo u kraju i da se na neki način okoristimo od ovoga što je brat rekao. Uglavnom, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let me just outro.
I've been holding for so long, scared I might slip away. Sometimes I just feel so lost, but I know that I'll find my way. Oh, I cannot lie, it's hard, sometimes I lose my mind. Constant whispers in my head, temptations I defy. But I know that if I lose your guidance, I'll go blind. That is why I need you. Oh, show me the way. Oh, don't let me stray. Oh, I need you. I beg you. Take me out of darkness into your light. I know I gotta stay strong, trying hard every day. 'Cause 100 times I've been so wrong, but I know I can make that change. Oh, I cannot lie, it's hard, sometimes I lose my mind. Constant whispers in my head, temptations I defy.